Hey y'all, hey, it is an unexpected live, you guys. So I just saw this and I don't know how breaking it is, but I put breaking because I didn't know it was happening. So, first of all, how are y'all doing? Welcome into the channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you supporting. As you enter, please hit that like button. It does help get the video out to more people. And now that we have that behind us, and also if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I am losing subscribers left and right, but that's okay. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on moving. Okay, so what's happening right now? We were all looking at Chicago as being the place, the city that they were going to send National Guard in, that Illinois was going to be it. Well, they still may be it, but right now that's not the next city that the National Guard are going into. I'm not going to be here long, so I thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate you. Hey, Love Pugs, Mayhem, Joshua, and Rachel or Raquel. Jamila, how are you? Hey, D. So we did see the ice truck there the last time I talked about it. We saw that parked outside of a building. But y'all, I wasn't seeing this one coming. So let's go right into where the next National Guard is going to be sent. I do still think that they're going to send some to Charlotte just because of what happened with that stabbing. But that's just me. I don't know. Okay, so it says here that President Trump says Memphis will be the next city where National Guard troops will be deployed in an effort to crack down on the crime. And that's according to the CBS report. Let's see.
President Trump says Memphis will be the next city where the National Guard will be deployed. This is all part of the administration's effort to crack down on crime. And that move would come without the support of the city's Democratic mayor, who says he does not approve of the troop deployment to his city. Joining us now is CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman. Willie James Inman, always very good to see you here. What are we learning about when these troops might be deployed to Memphis, and exactly what would this deployment entail?
Hey there, Nancy. Good to be with you on this Monday. Well, it's unclear in terms of when the White House will move forward with this plan. But we, of course, know that President Trump has been really forceful about his push against crime. Now, he might not have the full cooperation of the mayor, although the mayor of Memphis says that his powers are limited in terms of what he can do to push back. But he does have the cooperation of Tennessee's governor. In fact, the governor adding in a statement over the weekend that this is building on another operation in coordination with federal authorities, including the FBI, state and local law enforcement personnel to push back against crime in the city of Memphis. So this would build on top of that. It could perhaps look quite similar to what we saw in the nation's capital. Remember weeks ago, the president
Ashton was a high-level athlete. She was even at 5. We started noticing that something wasn't quite.
It not only took over the police force here in Washington, D.C., but also deployed National Guard and federal authorities throughout the city to push back against crime. So we could perhaps see the National Guard deployed there in Memphis as a presence to deter crime. In fact, the White House is already on the messaging front. The communications office sent out a note to reporters. The title of that note is "Memphis has a crime problem and residents agree." And they note several residents via news reports who have complained about crime in that city. Of course, we have to wait and see in terms of what the president does in pushing or providing National Guard troops to other cities across the country. He has teased that he wants to do that in Chicago, Baltimore. Of course, he's faced pushback from the governors of Illinois and Maryland. Fierce pushback, in fact, from Governor J.B. Pritzker, who called the president's move to put American troops in American cities disturbing, Nancy.
And Willie, I want to ask you about something else that a lot of people are watching very closely, particularly young people. The possibility of a TikTok deal with the president hinting that this could very much be on the horizon at this point. What more do we know?
Yeah, that's right. The president teased this in a Truth Social post this morning, talking about a deal that is potentially reached with a certain company. He didn't name the company, but he said he would be talking to President Xi of China later this week. And we know from the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who was in Spain talking to Chinese officials, that there is a framework between two private companies for a TikTok deal. Remember, there was a law passed that was signed into law rather by former President Joe Biden that would force ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, to divest or be banned in the United States. But within that law, there was the power for the president to, via executive order, essentially say that he's going to buy more time for this deal to go through, that the Department of Justice wouldn't necessarily have to enforce this ban on app companies or major tech companies like Apple and Google, who run their app stores, which allow people to download the TikTok app. Of course, this would be welcome news to those millions of Americans who use TikTok. The president noting.
So I was gonna do the TikTok store, but they done did it for me, so that's good. I don't have to do it now. So let's go over to TikTok and see what is happening over there.
Tennessee, who's standing with us, as you know. I'm signing a presidential memorandum to establish the Memphis Safe Task Force, and it's very important because of the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities, and we're going to take care of all of them, step by step, just like we did in D.C. We have virtually no crime in D.C. right now, and we're going to keep it that way. It's our nation's capital. We're going to keep it that way, or we're going to federalize it if we had to, but we don't have to anymore because it's in such great shape. This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here. And you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are really something. They're really bad. Now, we did send FBI in about 4 months ago to work, and it brought some of the numbers down, and they did a great job, but we're sending in the big force now. We also sent them into Chicago on a sort of a moderate basis, and we brought down crime a little bit in Chicago. But we're now going to bring it down very big. We're going to be doing Chicago probably next. I was with a great businessman, a man who is.
So Chicago is not off the board. Okay, Chicago is still on the board. And in my opinion, from what I've been seeing from other people, the people that's protesting National Guard being there is typically people who don't really live there. Most times, from what I'm seeing now, I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing, the people who live in these cities that are potentially going to have National Guard there are really welcoming National Guard there because they say, you know, it's hard for them to live in the area that they are in. Can't walk the street without something happening. So I don't know. It's a 50-50, I guess, with people.
Involved in all cities through his business. And I say, who do you think should be next after Memphis? And he said, sir, you've got to save Chicago. We're going to wait a little while. But he said, you got to save Chicago. You can't let it go. And this is a very prominent man that everybody knows in this room. Another man in Memphis was saying, Bill, he was saying, very interesting, he's on the board of FedEx. And his hotel is about a block away. And he said, when I walked there, I said, you know, I don't want to do this again. I never want to do it again. And they won't let me walk there. They take them in armored vehicles. They take the board members of FedEx in armored vehicles like a block away to the hotel.
It's where So you're not crazy about the idea, but it's not your call. As you recognize, it's the governor's. You don't have the authority to block this. But I was curious, the mayor of Shelby County, which is the all surrounding area of Memphis, he called this an occupation of Memphis. Do you agree with that? An occupation?
I don't know if y'all can see that, but it says National Guard is expected in 2 to 4 weeks.
Well, I think there are a lot of citizens in our community that are scared and concerned about what this is going to look like. What types of clothes are they going to wear? Where are they going to be stationed? What authority do they have? Will they be arresting citizens? Those are things that
they can't arrest people.
Concern. Well, those are natural concerns, whether you may know that, but the broader community doesn't know those things yet. And I think that it's important for me as a leader of this great city to find the answers and be able to communicate those things and ease some of those concerns for our residents.
Yeah, federal law prohibits our military from being used for local law enforcement. But we do know that the president has said that just the presence of uniformed National Guardsmen on the streets in Washington, D.C., he says has really dramatically lowered crime in Washington, D.C. Memphis has some of the highest crime in the country. Can the National Guard being on the streets might help?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that there are residents all across our city that have varying perspectives, whether they want the guard here, whether they don't want the guard here. The reality is that they will be here, and my goal is to make sure that as they're here, that they are supplementing our law enforcement, the individuals that have been working hard over the past 2 years to reduce crime. We've seen some significant declines in crime across the board in 2024 and so far in 2025. And our goal is to make sure that we are continuing that trend in the downward trajectory that we're seeing it on right now.
And that's what I was saying. It's more of a 50-50. Some people want it and some people don't. Oh, something else. I saw that.
Today, President Trump signed an authorization to send what he calls a federal task force into Memphis, Tennessee to combat crime. The president says it will be similar to the multi-agency federal action in D.C., which included deploying the National Guard. CBS's Nicole Valdez is in Memphis and reports on residents' reaction to the federal help.
Everything good for y'all today? Good.
For 20 years, Mike Miller's owned Patrick's Restaurant in East Memphis. He's optimistic a federal task force could help make the city safer.
So you welcome the National Guard here?
Yes.
And for those who say they don't, what do you say?
This is an opportunity for us and for our city. I hope we make the most of it.
Mayor Paul Young is against it.
I want to be clear, I did not ask for the National Guard, and I don't think it's the way to drive down crime.
The Trump administration has already deployed Guard troops to Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. on a so-called mission to clean up crime. A CBS News data team review of FBI statistics showed that Memphis had the highest rate of violent crime of all major U.S. cities last year. But Memphis police data shows there was a decrease in violent crime in the first 9 months of this year. Ravonda Ligon's 23-year-old son, John Ryan Ingram, was shot and killed trying to break up a fight nearly 3 months ago.
If they're going to be a buffer between them and the police to help minimize the crime, then that's a great thing.
No one is really talking about the real root issues of crime.
Amber Sherman grew up here. The lifelong activist worries federal troops could do more harm than good.
I think it's also the wrong response, of course, to what's happening in Memphis, but also ignores all the work that we've been doing over the last 2-3 years to really make sure that community members have what they need so they aren't committing crimes.
Now, while President Trump didn't say just how soon we could see troops in Memphis, he did say the effort will include more than just the National Guard. Other agencies like the FBI, ATF, even the U.S. Marshals are too being tapped for this new task force. John?
Nicole Valdez in Memphis, thank you. Today, President Trump signed an authorization to send what he calls a federal task.
I'm wondering if you think if Charlie Kirk's assassin.
All right, y'all, we finally got a mayor with some common sense. Granted, he said he does not want Trump to come in and deploy the National Guard. He doesn't think that will really drive down crime. But this dude has a couple more brain cells than the rest of the Democrats. And he said, let me think. This is the president. He's going to do whatever he wants to anyway. And we all know that. So might as well go ahead, let him come in, clean up the crime, do what he's going to do. And hey, it's a win-win for Democrats. If Trump doesn't do what he promises to do, they get bragging rights. If they actually...
My opinion is, why would you not? I mean, I understand you don't want feds coming in and taking over, but if the job is really not getting done and your citizens are afraid and a lot of them are asking for it, then you need to be on the side of your citizens and put everything else aside, because you're there for the people, not your pride. And I think it's a lot of pride mixed in with stuff, and just the fact that it's Trump doing it. If it was somebody different doing it, oh, it'll be just fine to do it. No, I don't agree with everything that Trump does. But in this case, if it's going to make the streets safer for people to go to work, to go to school, or just to go to the store, why not? So y'all can leave y'all opinions in comments when this video is over. I'm going to end it here because it is late, but I thank y'all for coming in. Let me see who I didn't speak to. Making it make sense. How are you? Hey, Martin, how are you? I was putting everybody's comments up there so I wouldn't have to go back and read them all, but I do appreciate you putting your comments in there. I mean, people just not going to agree. We need to agree to disagree, because it is needed in many, many cities across this U.S. I will see y'all in the morning with another video. Please share this out, hit the like, and leave your comments. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you become a part of the family. So, bye, y'all.